To new friends and old, welcome to Dragon Age the Veilguard. My name is Ashe, and as the title says, I played 80 hours of the game and finished it. Not completionist, the codex 87% complete, 4 missing achievements, but I did get the hidden endings. I'm not here to sit and spoil every plot point in the game, but talk about the game as a whole. Veilguard shines the most when you have as little context going into it as possible. I'd argue this game is truly for the community, those who have played, watched, clowned for, and consumed Dragon Age these past long years. Before we continue, a clarification. This is not a review. Due to my role on the Community Council, as well as knowing far too much about the game's development behind the scenes over the last decade, I cannot, in good faith, review this game, which means no numbered rating from me, no 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, no detailed analysis on the combat, or the cinematography, or what have you. I'm not here to tell you whether or not to buy the game. All I want to do here is talk about it, share what they did with the game, and not spoil you in the process. Simply, this is me speaking as a fan of the game for more than 10 years, who's been making content just as long, and who is, in the end, relieved the game is the way that it is. Let's begin.
I got a review code maybe a week ago, and I've been playing every single day.
Why do they have the in the name? Nah, I know why, but oh god, so stupid.
I had them at 10. To put so much into someone. In that keep video, I did say this was the best case scenario, and I do not lie. This was the best case scenario. Actually, this exceeded my expectations greatly. I don't want this to be a finale. And it felt like it, but it's not. I really like my rook. Oh god.
It's hard to come to terms with something you loved for more than a decade. Be concluded in a number of days. Well, at least it was for me. There was a sense of foreboding, a pervasive feeling of finality all throughout playing Veilguard. When coming from playing all the games, reading the books, the stories, the comics, watching the show, the movie, and everything in between. In the back of your mind, you know the game is going to be different. The way the story is told will be different. The people who made it, the people who enjoyed it with you, are all different. Even if a number of them are still there, after a decade, none of us are the same. Technology changed us, people have changed us. It's so easy to be angry. On every social and content platform, we've rewarded and given credit to such a singular emotion. The contrast between the time when Inquisition released versus Veilguard's release is night and day. So, with the context of everything that is going on in the world, to see the game end up in its current state, it was a comfort. It was a consolation, albeit a fleeting one. It was bittersweet, getting lost in this new yet familiar world. For anyone here who's already decided to play the game, well, I hope you gain that comfort too. It's a peace I haven't really felt in a really long time. No lifing inside my room for days, making my rook for like 4 hours, running through cities I'd only read about, seeing old friends and the Inquisitor, and just forgetting the world. And it sucks. Because once the credits rolled and that hidden ending played out, I was beside myself. Veilguard is imperfect, but everything was just pure escapism. I enjoyed it, I relished in it, I loved it. If only I could relive it all over again, everything shiny and new, you know? This game is one of those you can't help but love, despite the occasional fumbling and foolishness, because it was made earnestly. It improved upon years of trying and trying yet again. Veilguard is a composition of corrections based on everything everyone ever criticized in Inquisition, Dragon Age 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Mass Effect 3. Fetch quests, busy work, flat antagonists, unproven leaders, uninspired conquests, companions running parallel from each other instead of together as a team, and that unsettling MMO ick. All of that addressed. Even running through the new areas of the Crossroads was made with the forethought that players don't want to backtrack 1,000 steps. Combat is snappier, tighter. You spend more time chasing down dragons and fighting in arenas than playing in the dirt with a goat. Don't get me wrong, the story has a number of missteps. Narrative gaps that could have been filled and smoothed over, needing better pacing and more cinematics. Okay, at the risk of actually sounding like a review, this game would have benefited from another added run of cinematics across all companions. Not to mention the non-quantum characters that they did bring back to round out the narrative as a whole. There's an emphasis, arguably a reliance, on the codex and ambient conversations to fill the gaps of what cannot be seen on screen. And all of that is easily missed, lest you be diligent about switching your characters in and out every single quest as soon as possible. Though I suppose if you're watching this before you play the game, well, I can tell you now, take your time. The game rewards you for extra vigilance, visiting your companions on a regular basis, that is. Nevertheless, the devs have put much effort into addressing the largest criticisms that plagued previous games. And in my opinion, arguably the most damning of them all, the idea of choice. Before we get into choice, I'd like to settle a matter. I did not like the changes to keep. I know not everyone listened intently to the last video I made. I saw the runtime. That said, after finishing the game, I'd like to address the points I mentioned before. Overall, regrettably, I was right. Regret. It's the foundation of what this game was built upon. From souls to the small, the insignificant, regret reoccurs all throughout the game and its characters, and resounds in the decisions that you make. Veilguard asserts your path at every step. I'll admit, it strangely felt a little condescending at first, to be hounded with the post-quest summary every time, reminding you what you've done, what you couldn't be bothered to do, and what you made your companions do. But the matter is confirming your guilt, confirming your grief, or your righteousness. It's no longer just choice. It's equally the realization thereafter. Because be honest, in the games, what was consequence? Variants of good rewards in different colors. It's something I and others have criticized BioWare for. The absence of immediate, damning consequence. Often they just dangled about our choices and cast them off for a later game or DLC to address. Trespasser being the most obvious offender of this, becoming mandatory for players to finally actualize their choices in the original game. That said, however, Veilguard doesn't put you through that. It makes you take responsibility for your actions as Rook, especially the bad ones. It succeeds at making you address your decisions in the moment or within the confines of the timeline. While some are, of course, lighthearted and funny, others are philosophically questionable, others surmised as ruthless calculus. Do you side with that whom you love, that holds your loyalty, or do you value hate? Everything resolves within the game, and the endings change based on the mileage, both a blessing and a curse. An ominous look at what the future beyond Veilguard holds for the rest of us. But that'll be for another day. I love Veilguard. Truly, I did. Thank you for watching. Thank you if you liked this. And thank you for staying the whole way through. Fenarel and Ansal, Magasudin Nadas.